Lost characters. There are a lot of them. Some of them who disappeared for years, and some of them who we will never see ever again. And some of them are just Cleveland Jr. Yeah, and that's where I, Zeep, come in, your local Cleveland show fanatic and lost character historian. If we get this to 5,000 likes, that would be pretty epic, would be much appreciated, and also subscribe to Zeepster because hey, at some point we'll reach 100k and I want that to be soon. Okay then, let's get this started. Dissy. Okay, Dissy is from the Kirby series. Or was from the Kirby series. Dissy was set to appear in Kirby's Dream Land, the very first Kirby game, released in 1992. And here's the thing between me and Kirby's Dream Land, I absolutely adore that game. The simplicity of Kirby's Dream Land makes it one of my favorite games of all time, but I remember being a kid and finding it a bitch to try and complete. Which makes it even more humbling when I find out that the actual length of the game could be completed in around 30 minutes. Yeah, I was a gamer, but to be fair, I wasn't that good of a gamer. I also think one of the funniest parts about these classic Kirby games, say Kirby Adventure, is that when you look back at the older games, they're pretty simple, which isn't bad, don't get me wrong, but when you compare to the recent Kirby games, and where he's fighting demonic, Satan-like monsters, it really makes the player think about how far Kirby has come. I mean, just look at the final boss for Kirby 64, it's this giant floating eyeball with a red eye, it's insane. But yeah, although I haven't played the recent Kirby games, I could safely say that the first few titles from the series are definitely some of my favorite games of all time. Especially when it comes to Kirby enemies, it could range from cutesy to what the hell is going on here. And Dissy is yet another enemy who went missing. So Dissy, they definitely appeared in the first game. Yep, they're right there. I don't know, man. It's a little white ball with a yellow spike on its head. It has 2 eyes, a mouth, and a big old tongue hanging out from its mouth. He's found in the bubbly cloud stage, and he tumbles through the air, spinning around and attacking Kirby. I mean, I think he's like a little epic, but why do I mention him, you may ask? He isn't really super notable. Well, that's where the Kirby manga comes in. Well, in the Kirby manga, Dissy is actually Kirby's friend, and is treated more of like a sidekick. He keeps a Max Tomato in his horn, which is a healing potion in the Kirby games, in case Kirby gets hurt, and is fairly supportive. He is described as a protector of Kirby in the manga, which I find fairly interesting because he was just really a side enemy in the games. But to be fair, in the Kirby games, this actually happens fairly often than not. I mean, just take a look at King Diddy, being Kirby's main enemy throughout much of the earlier games, eventually siding with Kirby at times in the most recent installments. As I've done my research, I've realized that barely anyone talks about this guy as he's fallen more and more into obscurity and trapped within a Kirby manga. Dissy was renamed to Biddy, and eventually stopped appearing in the manga. Despite this, he appeared in promotional material for Kirby's Adventure, and although he was in that promotional material, he just didn't appear in that video game, eventually just becoming dropped overall from the entire series. He would be referenced every now and then in the manga, but never actually made a future appearance in a video game. Dissy, or Biddy, is Kirby's long-lost best friend. As the Kirby series has gone on, Kirby has made friends with new enemies. This includes Metal Knights, King Dedede once again, Marks, who tried to kill Kirby in like a devilish type of boss battle. To be fair, that final boss battle is really tight, and also one of the most horrifying final boss fights I've ever played. Mark splits himself in half and tries to kill you, it's insane. Kirby final boss fights always go so hard, dude. What makes it even better is that according to Sakurai, the creator of the Kirby series, that Mark's final boss fight was supposed to be even creepier, but they had to tone it down because it wasn't suitable for all ages. Like, how is this even suitable? I'm not complaining, I think it's awesome. If they went like full metal with Marks, that'd be sick. But this all comes around, the potential for Dissy could have been fantastic. There's no telling whether they would have taken his character. Although he lacked personality at the beginning, that personality could have been developed over time. And it seems to me that it already was being established in the manga, with him being Kirby's sidekick and being the great protector of Kirby. Dissy has been long lost to time and will likely never come back again. But that's okay, because at least we have I don't know, Bandana Waddle Dee, I guess we have him. Okay, next up, a shout out to Tuna Fish Sandwich for commenting about Dissy and introducing me to this wonderful character. Guys, this is important. You can all officially call me Lord Zeepsterd. Today's sponsor, Established Titles, has developed a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. As you may know, I'm a big history buff, and it's pretty cool that the project is based upon a historic Scottish custom where landowners were referred to as lairds, or lords and ladies in English. If you purchase a title pack, they give you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, which is something I have. It's really cool. Each certificate features a unique plot number, and where you can see your exact location of your land. They work with global charities such as One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. Not only that, but you can officially include the title Lord or Lady on your credit card, plane tickets, dating profiles, etc. It makes for a great last-minute gift. The first 200 people purchasing a title pack using my link will effectively be next to my plot. We could literally build Zeepsterd Kingdom. That would be epic. Established Titles is actually running a massive sale right now. Plus, if you use the code Zeepsterd, you get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/Zeepsterd to get your gifts now and help support the channel. Thank you to Established Titles for sponsoring this video. Rachel Wilson. This has been one of my most requested lost characters ever since the first part of this series. Rachel Wilson is from The Amazing World of Gumball, a show on Cartoon Network that came out in 2011, and unfortunately, when it first came out, I couldn't really get into it. I mean, I didn't hate it by any means, but it wasn't really my cup of tea. I did remember liking its art style, combining multiple animation elements including puppetry, CGI, flash animation, and even live action segments. So I have to stress, I did not dislike the show, but when it came to like early 2010s Cartoon Network TV shows, I was more into Adventure Time or say regular show. So when it comes to delaying the process of covering Rachel Wilson, it really comes from my own interest of the subject. Sorry, Amazing World of Gumball fans, for the delay, but here she finally is. Rachel Wilson was one of Darwin's love interests in the show. In the show, she views herself as above many of her peers, constantly talking down on them, and even screaming at them. I actually watched an episode in which she's a major character in, which I found pretty funny, in which she talks down on her classmates, saying they're not invited to her party.
My party is for young adults, not old babies!
She is the sister of the supporting character, Tobias, who actually appears throughout the entirety of the series. By the end of the episode, none of her friends show up to her party, except for all of Tobias's friends, eventually leading her to break down, with Darwin coming in to support her. I mean, I thought it was like a cute little episode of a cartoon show, and she does appear in other episodes of season 1 of the show, one episode in season 2, and then for multiple seasons she's just gone, and people ended up wondering, what the hell happened to her? Well, there's 2 answers to this. The actual reason is the writers just simply didn't like her. Maybe it was because of her mean-spiritedness, or maybe they just thought they had already too many characters going on, but the writers ended up just wanting to drop her, as she did little in the show anyways. They were not big fans of her attitude. The other reason is more of a fan theory. There's an episode of Gumball called The Void. The Void is basically this limbo type of place, and where all of the world's mistakes end up going to, which insinuates that Rachel here was one of the world's mistakes, which is pretty brutal. I mean, yeah, she's like somewhat of an asshole, but does she really deserve to be put into like a limbo hellscape? Rachel kind of reminds me of another Cartoon Network character who's like a big asshole as well. His name was Bendy, and he appeared in Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Bendy appears in an episode called Everybody Knows It's Bendy, which premiered in 2005, and I remember watching this back then, way back in 2005. It has been 17 years, and I'm still pissed off at this character. Okay, so in this episode, Bendy's just this huge dick who causes havoc around the house, and is able to successfully shift all the blame for all his chaos to Blue and all his friends, making them get in trouble for it. Now, I hate it, because we all knew a kid like that back in like elementary school, who would do some shitty thing and then shift the blame on like you or one of your friends. I hate those kids. I feel a little stupid because I'm ranting about an episode of a cartoon show, but seriously, dude, you have no idea how much this episode pissed me off as a kid. Because this is how I think about it. Blue and the entire family have lived here way longer than Bendy, but yet Mr. Harriman and Frankie end up siding with Bendy all the time. Like, it's so out of character. What's going on here? I'm not alone with this sentiment. This is a very notorious episode of the show. So much so, people get really mad. While I was looking at the wiki for this episode, I'm just scrolling through the comments of like people seething and molding over Bendy. Shreky Yardigans commented this: "Fuck you, Frankie Foster, and fuck you, Mr. Harriman. You fucking shitheads. I bring this up because although Rachel was annoying, I will say there have been way worse animated characters who have committed worse atrocities. It got so bad that Lauren Faust, the creator of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, had to apologize to the fans, stating that they had no excuse for Bendy, and that they were personally very sorry. I don't have any backup sources for this, but apparently Bendy was supposed to appear in more episodes. After the release of this episode, Bendy was essentially just removed from appearing from the series ever again, making him another lost character. But a lost character who has been lost to time because he's just like the biggest asshole to ever exist. Take his removal from future appearances with a grain of salt, because that may just be random information they placed in the wiki. But when it comes to Rachel and Bendy, I would take Rachel every single time.
My name is Cleveland Brown, and I am proud to be
Cleveland Jr. from The Cleveland Show. I feel like my entire YouTube career has been leading up to this moment. The Cleveland Show was a spin-off of Family Guy, premiering from 2009 to 2013, and it was one of the most mid shows of all time. The show felt like a bunch of Family Guy rejected material, with characters I could really give less of a shit about. I mean, I remember liking Cleveland when I did watch Family Guy back in the day. In fact, I also remember liking The Cleveland Show when it first came out, but keep in mind I had just turned 10 years old, so I didn't really know what was good and what was bad in terms of TV show quality. The show follows Cleveland and a bunch of old friends and new friends. Characters included a talking bear named Ted, who is one of Cleveland's friends because for some reason every Seth MacFarlane show has to have a talking animal to try and be funny. Other characters include Roberta, Cleveland's stepdaughter, who has had 0 lines ever since the Cleveland Show has been cancelled, leading to the Cleveland family to move back to Quahog. In the recent seasons of Family Guy, much of Cleveland's family has been completely forgotten about, except for Cleveland's wife, who's interacted with Lois for the most part, and the most important one we're talking about today, Cleveland Jr. I actually really love what they did with Cleveland Jr. Cleveland Jr. first appeared in the Season 2 episode of Family Guy titled Forefather, released in the year 2000. In the episode, Cleveland Jr. is seen as a hyperactive child who's very talented in playing golf.
I can't make Cleveland Jr. sit still for anything. Sometimes I wonder if he's got the epilepsy, but then I just go see what's on the TV.
He would have no speaking lines again until the year 2009 when The Cleveland Show first premiered. During The Cleveland Show, he was seen as a shy but very intelligent kid, which led to fans of both shows wondering what happened to his personality. Throughout the entire 4-season run of The Cleveland Show, Cleveland Jr. is seen to have various epic moments, including rapping against Kanye West, and if I'm being honest, a pretty cool rap battle, and is also eventually revealed to be a top secret agent on a job to assassinate the bear, Tim. I am not kidding. In one of the funniest gags of the entire show, the Cleveland Jr. from the Cleveland Show version turned out to code the original Cleveland Jr. I'll let the man himself explain because the story is far out.
A local idiot named Cleveland Brown was selected to unwittingly play the role of my father. Of course, his actual son, the real Cleveland Jr., had to be eliminated.
I'm Tiger Woods. I'm Tiger Woods.
Why? What is this all about?
There's a group of people, Rollo, who want to see the American way of life topple. They're based in Steuben because of proximity to Washington and good schools. It's just a great place to live. And I've been taking them down one by one. This is my next target.
Tim the bear?
Honestly, I was pretty engrossed with this subplot. I remember when this episode first appeared in like 2013, it honestly blew my mind. I thought it was a pretty creative way of retconning Cleveland Jr.'s past appearance. In retrospect, was the Cleveland Show as bad as people said it was? Honestly, for me, I'm still not like a big, huge fan of it. It's always been just pretty mediocre to me. But after looking through various Cleveland Show videos on YouTube and reading up on the comments, I noticed something. People are leaning to be more positive towards it, with some saying that it's better and more creative than Family Guy, and others even saying that it's the best Seth MacFarlane show, edging out American Dad, which I'd have to disagree with, because American Dad is really great. That is definitely the Seth MacFarlane show I look at more fondly. Something that I will give the Cleveland Show is that it actually seems like the family actually cares about each other, unlike the cynicism of Family Guy, which of course I know is played up for laughs, but at some point I just get annoyed about it, and I'm just like, okay, these guys just hate each other. A dynamic that many miss from old Family Guy. This dynamic of genuine kindness towards one another because, well, their family is just completely missing. To my surprise, there are a lot of Cleveland Show fans who wish for the family and friends of Cleveland to return to the way that it was. With that being said, there's one thing I will give the Cleveland Show. Its theme song still goes hard. On to the next character. The Key. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared was a fantastic web show. And I have to admit, I haven't watched the TV show yet, but I've heard nothing but good things. I remember when the first one first dropped in July of 2011. God, has it really been 11 years? The concept of the series is fairly simple. We have Duck, Yellow Guy, and Red Guy being taught a simple life lesson with every single episode. With every episode, there's always an object or thing that sings to the characters as it progressively gets more and more chaotic. My favorite episode is probably episode 2, as I relate to it as I get older and older, knowing that eventually I will die. Now that's a really sobering and nice thought to have, and I'm really glad there's a song about it. As the web series went on and the show became more successful, eventually Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared was able to pitch a show. A pilot was given by show execs and the show was picked up. Hooray, right? Well, here's the thing. The pilot episode for the show has never been released. In that pilot episode, the object that's singing is a key. It's interesting because the pilot episode was actually showed at the Sundance Film Festival in 2019, but was never released for the general public. So not only do we have a lost character in our hands, but we also have a lost episode of a TV show. A pilot episode to be clear. The following is details about the pilot episode from a Reddit post that does an excellent job at explaining key details from the episode. The town of Clay Hill starts every morning singing the same song. Also, it's Yellow Guy's birthday, but the town discovers that the mayor is missing. While they search his office, Duckman finds a key. The trio goes back to their house and talk about the disappearance of the mayor, when suddenly the key comes to life and teaches them about security when Duck Guy decides to take over as mayor. The Duck does simple things like locking the gate and door at night, etc. But the key brainwashes him to add heavy surveillance to the town. Yellow Guy gets upset by this, and eventually finds a shady-looking anthropomorphic bottle of fizzy milk, which turns him into a punk. Red Guy follows footprints to find the mayor, who has appeared to have gone crazy talking to 3 wooden logs with faces drawn on them. The mayor teaches Red Guy that we shouldn't fear strangers, just because we don't know them. It cuts back to Duck Guy, who finds out that the people of the town are rebelling, so he decides that it is thoughts that are dangerous, so he begins to drill into the townspeople's heads. I'm going to stop right there and start paraphrasing the end of this. By the time Red Guy and the mayor come to save the day, the key from earlier has hooked up Duck Guy to a machine that controls the entire townspeople. Yellow Guy walks in and gets really pissed off and spills the fuzzy milk guy all over the machine, thus defeating the key's mind control, and Duck Guy becoming free, with the moral of the story being never fall into political fear-mongering. Yeah, after written descriptions of it, there's a lot of political undertones within this episode. There's a couple bootleg clips of the episode out in the wild, but as mentioned prior, has never been released. If I do show footage of it, this video might get taken down. That's how tight they are about this pilot. I mean, it ended up working out, the show ended up being made, but I'm still curious about the pilot. I wanna see that key song in high quality. However, the creators of the show have expressed discontent about the pilot. Not only that, but its focus on current affairs such as politics did not fit the themes of what they eventually wanted to do. What makes it even more interesting is that a teaser for the episode was released on the main YouTube channel. The teaser ended up trending #1 on YouTube, and was hyping up the entire audience for a different type of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared show. The teaser was eventually removed from their YouTube channel, with most fans being satisfied with how the show ended up becoming. That being said, I'm still curious about the key pilot and what it entails of. Mayor McCheese. Might as well continue the trend I have going with these videos and cover another McDonaldland character, this time Mayor McCheese, the mayor of McDonaldland. His head is a cheeseburger, and I've always found that the funniest thing ever. So while researching this, I came across an ad in which Ronald McDonald is running around a forest with kids and comes across Mayor McCheese, and the trees have like all eyes on them and it's like a little creepy. Like what's going on here? So Mayor McCheese hasn't appeared in a commercial for McDonald's in almost 40 years. And well, that's because McDonald's, they plagiarized the character from a TV show. In 1969, a show titled HR Pufnstuf was released as a children's television series. The show isn't really notable besides the fact that the main character, Pufnstuf, has a very close resemblance to Mayor McCheese. Not only that, but the entire setting of the show gave McDonald's the idea to create McDonaldland. The show was created by television producers Sid and Marty Krofft. Prior to the show being released, the Crofts and McDonald's were supposed to work together, incorporating the Puff and Stuff characters with the McDonald's brand. Eventually, the deal fell through after McDonald's contacted an advertising agency to create McDonald's Land. The Crofts brothers saw McDonald's Land and understandably got upset, going to court and successfully suing McDonald's, leading to the end of Mayor McCheese as a character. Following this lawsuit, McDonald's redesigned multiple characters in their own classic style that we all know today. Mayor McCheese was one of the few characters who was completely dropped from McDonald's Land. In terms of my own headcanon, I'd like to think that Mayor McCheese just simply lost re-election of McDonald's Land. I'd like to think he ended up being like a lobbyist or something. Ever since then, Mayor McCheese has only appeared one other time in official McDonald's lore, appearing in an episode in 1998 of the McDonald's Land TV show. The thing about Mayor McCheese is that he's appeared in various parodies and other TV shows, so he hasn't really been truly forgotten. In fact, he's been celebrated at points, because his pop culture status was that huge. His personality is that of an incompetent politician, who can't seem to get anything done. Always as a gag when people say, hey, I'd rather vote for Mayor McCheese than this guy. And honestly, that's a legacy that I think really fits Mayor McCheese. Unlike Grimace and the Hamburglar, Mayor McCheese has my respect. Subscribe, I love you guys, bye.